You are listening to the Pencil and Paper Podcast Network.
Hey Ramblers, today's episode is brought to you by Fangoria. Since 1979, Fangoria has been the authority in the world of contemporary horror. As the only sanctuary for horror aficionados in its early days, it has now grown into an empire that expands beyond its celebrated magazine. From t-shirts, coffee mugs, beanies, enamel pins, there's something for every horror fanatic in your world, even if it's you. So head on over to shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or use code pencil and paper productions at checkout to get 20% off your first order or magazine subscription. Yes, it is a mouthful, which is why there are links in the show notes down below. That's shop.fangoria.com/pencil and paper productions or code pencil and paper productions at checkout for 20% off. Fangoria, first in fright since 1979.
Buy it or we'll tear your soul apart.
You're listening to the Horror Ramblings podcast, the show about all things horror. We hope you enjoy the show.
You're listening to the Horror Ramblings podcast, the show brought to you by that warm, fuzzy feeling you get when you feel the crisp air of fall. Steven looks like he just took a drink that did not agree with him there for a moment. How are you today, Steven? Let's just hop in.
I'm good. It went wrong. No, it's fine. I got it. I'm drinking Mutant Mud, brought to you by it's some kind of cat coffee. God damn it! I was gonna do an ad and I screwed it up, so we're not getting that one. It's the thing because they did the last drive-ins doing they did their big 666 movie marathon overnight thing. And I got the little survival pack. I got the little blanket, and I got the popcorns, and I got the coffees and the things, and it's pretty nice.
Very cool.
So I'm drinking that. You know, it's trying to help me wake up because I feel like shit.
I'm still hoping. I'm still hoping they do a Nightmare on Elm Street. Like I'm still really wanting that, and it might happen. It might. You never know, but
it might. They did have a solid lineup though, because the second movie of the night was one we just talked about, When Evil Lurks.
Oh, very nice.
And I would love to hear the commentary on that.
Just have to sit through and watch all that gore and disturbingness.
Yeah. And I also ever since we watched it, so I hope Leah, this is a bow to you for bringing up such a great movie. Is I have been suggesting it to anyone who I know loves horror. So my old podcast buddy Todd, I know he's big into horror, and I was like, let me know when you watch it. And sure enough, he texted me exactly when I knew he would, the dog. And I was like, I know. And then my daughter Starla, I'd mentioned it to her, and I think she watched it during the marathon because I had mentioned it to her not that long ago. And then when she saw it playing, she was like, oh, I gotta watch it now. And sure enough, she messaged me in the middle of the night saying, the dog.
I'm telling you, out of everything, I feel like that's what sticks with people the most. That, and I think the scene with I'm bad with names, but when the mom is eating the son's brains and she sort of pulls her hand out and you just see and hear brain matter hit everywhere. I'm like, ugh. Like, yeah, that sticks with me. And I will apologize to the masses right now. I had a technical issue the other day that led to me not getting an episode done. I was going to do a solo episode about shocking horror scenes, just some that I think are shocking. But then I was thinking about that. I was like, I'm kind of glad that didn't work out, because I feel like that would be a great thing for both of us to sort of really get into.
Sure.
Have you seen any of the news on Romulus? Have you seen any spoilers? I figured I would ask you that.
I have been lucky enough to avoid them thus far. And I think I'm going to be in the clear because I think it's starting to fade from chatter. So I know that I heard just microscopic details that were just like, nah, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah. I won't say anything then to spoil it. The only thing I want to say, and I will do this where it won't spoil anything, there is something that happens in the movie that I'm going to give them some props for. They did something that I feel like could have gone really bad, but I'm kind of digging it because I have seen some spoilers. But the spoilers that I've seen just make me want to see the movie more. And I'm glad that Alien is getting the love that it deserves. I have always wondered, Sigourney's clone, Ripley's clone, did survive in the 90s film. I've always wondered what became of that character, but at the same time, I'm not sure if bringing her back, even in a cameo, I'm not sure if that would ruin that whole part of the film for me. And I'm torn with it because I would love to see her again in that capacity. But at the same time, I'm like, I don't know.
I know some people would like to retcon everything after Aliens. So, I mean, there's always that possibility. I know that there was that chatter at one point that they were going to do kind of a Divergent sequel, a la Halloween and all that, but I guess they didn't want to do that. But I mean, since you brought it up, we actually rewatched Alien and Aliens this week on 4K, kind of getting that, see how it looks and all that. And as great as they sound and as great as they look, they're just really solid fucking movies.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I can't stress it enough. They are just so good from two completely different filmmakers who both made it their own thing. You know, and it's like you rarely see that where you have one great movie and then a sequel that just builds upon it and is equally great.
Yeah. And it's funny because I had actually recently seen an interview. Sigourney Weaver was at, I can't remember, the latest film festival that was going on, and I feel terrible that I can't remember what it was off the top of my head. But they were talking to her about the Alien films, and she had no intention of coming back and doing a sequel at that time. It wasn't that she didn't want to. It was sequels weren't really something that were seen in a very high regard back in that day. But they presented her with a script, and they talked about it, and she realized that the layer of depth that they added to it would make it a film that people would remember. And I think she made the right call on that because for what they are, like you just said, there's a solid story there. There's a solid film in that. Even if, excuse me, I feel like even if maybe the effects weren't as great as they were, I think that even if the film wasn't as big as it was because everything got pulled off as well as it did, if this was some movie that sort of had a cult following, I feel like it would still be getting a major resurgence because of how solid the story itself is. And, you know, I don't care what anybody says about Ripley. Ripley is probably one of the most badass characters in film history, and I'll give her that all day. She stayed strong to her convictions. She sacrificed herself. Like, I will give her that all day. And you like the character. And let's be honest, watching Sigourney Weaver run around in her underwear in the first film was a lot of fun for a lot of people. I mean, I have to bring it back to that simple mindset a little bit. But there's a great story there, like you were saying, and I've heard that Romulus really echoes that, and I'm happy about that because it's such a good franchise. Like. And say what you will about, you know, say what you will about the end of the franchise, you know, there from the original films. Say what you will about Resurrection. I know a lot of people hate Resurrection, and I understand it. You know, I remember watching it. I remember putting an old VHS tape in and watching it, and I thought I was a child at the time when we're seeing, you know, the hybrid that they create, you know, that was born and everything. And I remember just being a kid and thinking to myself, what the fuck is that? As a kid. And that's always stuck with me. And I love the scene at the end where she uses her blood to create the hole in the hall and it gets sucked through it. Like, I don't care what anybody says about it. I find joy in it. Is it the best story of the film, of the film series? No. But it's still fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And I think it does have a lot of solid points. I like the thought that they did in it of Ripley's clone had gotten certain attributes from the aliens. And in return, the queen ended up getting the ability to give live birth, which I thought that was an extremely interesting concept that they presented in that film. It's something that I wish they would present again. The biggest thing I know that they're doing, is it called Alien Earth, I think, is the next film that they're talking about doing.
Well, that's going to be a series.
Gotcha.
On FX that Noah Hawley's developing.
Gotcha. I am still hoping that they do an Alien King. Like, that is something that I really want to see. They're exploring more realms. If you look in the comics, they are a very real thing. They don't serve any other purpose other than to protect the hives. And I think that would be something really cool to see. I think it would be cool to see like a group of people who hunting the aliens is like second nature to them. Like, I would love to see like a team that's just so used to hunting them. And be like, yeah, we've taken down queens before. We're sure this is just another queen. And then out of nowhere, you see this huge alien that resembles a queen, but is different, and they realize that they're fighting something new. I think that would be interesting. And Disney needs to make it happen. They need to do a what if story. I'm just gonna say this because I've seen pictures of it, and it looks badass. Darth Vader dropped onto the alien planet and fighting a queen alien. I have seen concept art of it, and I would be all for that. Like, that would be badass. So I'm just going to put that out there.
No, I'm all for it. I tell you what, when we watched those two movies, I had an idea, and man, if they want to come a knocking, I've got a solid fucking idea for a third Alien versus Predator that would tie in everything. All the Predators, all the aliens, Prometheuses, whatever, all of it in a nice little bow that can explain a lot of shit going forward. Yeah. And I was just so excited when these ideas came into my head, because I was like, I want to see this movie. Yeah. But I'm a little afraid to share it with the public.
Maybe this is a private conversation you and I can have it at some point. You just made me think of something. They actually, a lot of people asked why we had never seen a predator hunt a oh god, you just said their names, the humanoid aliens from Prometheus, engineers, is that what they're called?
Oh yes.
Sorry, my brain today. But they actually explored that concept in a comic, and predators actually struggle badly fighting the engineers because the engineers are actually just that strong. There was a comic that they released. A group of predators had to team up to take down one engineer. Like, their cannons and everything, they worked, just not as effectively as you would think. I guess the engineers are pretty damn hard to take down. So I thought it was kind of an interesting take. But then I fell down a rabbit hole, and I guess even the X-Men have fought the Predator before. They did a comic of that. And Wolverine.
I don't know. Wolverine.
Well, I guess they needed help to take down like several predators or something, and Wolverine wanted to go 1-on-1 with a predator.
Yep. I remember there was one in the because it tracked him down. Okay.
So
I remember.
I fell down a rabbit hole, but I'm telling you, like, I love that about films too. Like, you watched some films and it gave you an idea. I just saw a movie poster for. It was a mock movie poster for another Halloween film. It was called like Halloween Aftermath, and like this person even created like a fake synopsis and everything. And I'm telling you, I still would love to do a film where there is like a cult that is trying to put the evil that was Michael Myers into a new body. I've got this whole concept about it. It would just be awesome to see a bunch of people in Michael Myers masks going around, and it doesn't even have to be the full-fledged mask. I think it would be cool to have like those partial face masks that they have now for Michael Myers. I don't know. I've been thinking of this concept for a while, and I'm not going to say a whole lot about it. As you know, it seems like we talk about things, and then all of a sudden there's something out there somewhere. Like, who's listening to us? Yeah. There's a bug somewhere. But
Those people on YouTube, we know you're out there. I see the numbers.
But yeah, I mean, it's easier just to pay us guys. Just say it. just come to us. I wish I could say that I've seen that I've watched some horror movies lately. The biggest thing that I'm like, as weird as it sounds, I haven't gotten to go see Alien yet. Seen more trailers for Beetlejuice.
Mm-hmm. I'm hearing a lot of good things about it too.
I've seen one review where someone was like, "Oh, this film is nothing but fan service," and I love.
Yeah, that was The Guardian.
I love the people commented on this, and they tore this review apart, and they were like, "Beetlejuice is such an iconic character. We're okay with having some fan service. It still looks like they're building a story, but we still want the fan service."
I actually was not to
No, go ahead.
put any spoilers out there for anybody, because I don't feel like it's a spoiler if you've seen the trailer for it or anything. But Tim Burton actually addressed why the Maitlands were not part of the story. You know, Gina Davis and Alec Baldwin's characters from the first film, and he said, there was really no place for them. I wasn't worried or focused about them story-wise, so I wasn't just going to shoehorn them in for fan service. He's like, you know, we did a lot of fan service stuff, he said, but, you know, that just didn't make sense to do because there was no reason for them to be there. So we just didn't do it.
And who knows?
And I was like, yeah, good, thank you.
And who knows? Maybe they'll have a nod or something to it, you know, just, you know, I don't...
Even a picture in the background.
Yeah, you know, I don't need to see them, and maybe there's a comment about, you know, maybe Lydia will make a comment about she misses them since they passed on, you know, since they moved on or whatever. Like, that would be okay.
I do think Burton said that they do address it. Like, they do at least explain it.
It'd be funny if Beetlejuice made a joke about it. I think that would be kind of funny. I know they also showed you get to see like a short clip of when he was alive. That's been circulating around. The female ghost, turns out she was his wife when he was alive. She poisoned him. And it's kind of a funny scene because it's him and her. They're doing whatever, and he takes a drink, and then he's like foaming at the mouth, and he looks over at her, and she's holding up the poison jar, and she's tapping on it with her nails to make it like clank, and he just gives her this like look like, what the hell? Which kind of explains why his mouth looks the way it does. It's like some of the dried spit up from when he was poisoned or whatever. She seems like she's a real badass. I know I just saw another clip. Warner Brothers is like releasing little clips here and there. But there is another clip in there where she's in like a crate and she's in pieces and she's putting herself back together and she's like stapling herself back. That's why she's got the staples in her face, because she was in a bunch of pieces. I don't know though. The more I'm seeing of it, the more excited I am for it. Like, I love the original Beetlejuice film. I love the fact that if you watch any of the behind the scenes stuff, Michael Keaton will tell you they gave him pretty much free reign to act however the hell he wanted as Beetlejuice. So Beetlejuice, and I don't care what anybody says, I believe this wholeheartedly, Beetlejuice is like an extension of Michael Keaton, which kind of makes me go, what the fuck, dude? Like, what's going on in your mind, man? And he even addresses it in interviews. I've seen some interviews lately where he's been like, I don't even know where this creation came from in my mind. He's like, they said he's lived through every time, every era, but he's not. He's like, so I was able to really do a lot of things with the character. And I love that one of my favorite lines in the first film is completely improv. It's when he kicks the tree, when he's in the model and the tree falls. That wasn't supposed to happen. The tree wasn't supposed to fall. So when that falls and he grabs his junk and he goes, nice fucking model, that was completely improv. And that's probably one of my favorite lines in the whole movie, just the way that it's delivered and everything. But yeah, I'm excited for it, and I'm going to put this out here too. This is a hot take for anybody who might disagree. I freaking love Catherine O'Hara, and I'm just now like realizing how much I actually love her, because she's been in so many things that I've enjoyed and that people that I know have enjoyed, and I think a lot of people don't realize that sometimes that she's been in a lot of things, and it's sad because a lot of people only know her as Kevin's mom from Home Alone, and that drives me crazy.
I think there's at least a smattering more in a different generation that would know her from Schitt's Creek. because I feel like that show's got some good traction, and she's a delight.
I love her. I love her in Schitt's Creek too. She was not the main reason I watched Schitt's Creek though. When it first started, the whole reason that I even got into the show was because of Eugene Levy, because I adore Eugene Levy. He's probably one of my favorite actors. I wish he was in more things.
Only Murders in the Building, season 4.
I will.
Now starring Eugene Levy.
I will have to remember that. I was introduced to him in, here's a generational thing. A lot of my friends know him as the dad in American Pie. So one of my favorite films that he's in, and love me or hate me for this, all you ramblers out there, he was in a movie called Bringing Down the House with Steve Martin and Queen Latifah. And that movie is hilarious. I don't care what anybody says about it. By today's standards, a lot of people would probably be quote unquote offended by it, but it is hilarious. And Eugene Levy he's this calm, cool dude, and I love it. I've also read about him, and apparently he's done, like, back in the day, he helped do, like, choreography for, like, some of the boy bands and stuff, like, all kinds of weird, interesting things about him that I'm like, why? But he's an interesting guy. That's what we need. We need a Eugene Levy-led horror comedy. That would be great.
Yeah.
But here I am just rambling like I normally do on things. Why don't you, if you have news or just anything you want to kind of put out there, Steven, I'm just rambling on. I could ramble on about random stuff forever.
Well, I'm trying to remember where we were news-wise, things that we hadn't talked about. I know, did we ever talk about, I know I shared it on our one of our groups or whatever, but Freaky Franco? Or Freaky?
I don't think we have, because it's not ringing a bell.
It's, damn it, I wish I could remember the name specifically. I think it's Frico Frankie, and it's from the writer-director of Psycho Goreman. This is his next big project, and this is a send-up of what was it? 2 very specific movies, Ghoulies 3 and another creature feature that I'm so fond of, and I can't wait to watch this. I'm so excited.
Is it going to be on Shudder?
I didn't see specifically where it was going to be dropping. All I know is it said comes out in October. I don't know if it's going to go have a theatrical run or not.
I was going to say, if
I'm all for it, regardless.
If it's in the same realm as Psycho Goreman, especially, like, I did not think... that movie wasn't even on my radar. I'm pretty sure you're the person who told me, like, you need to watch this. And I freaking loved it. What was the other movie that we've talked about it on here? I just watched it not too long ago about the like junkie guy that gets
Fried Berry.
Thank you, Fried Berry. I can never remember the name of it for some reason. That movie is an acid trip, I think. I think that's what an acid trip is like, because
but a entertaining one though.
Like I love just these random movies that are just, I think they fall off the radar for some people, but they're just hilarious. Both of them are on Shudder still, I think, too.
Yeah. I had to buy them both, though. I've got them in my digital library. So they're solid. I do want to shout this out, too. I haven't seen it yet, but it's on my radar as well. There's a movie that is released, I think it was a week or so ago, called Strange Darling with Kyle Gallner and there was somebody, they made a bit, Giovanni Ribisi apparently was the director of photography, which, they've made a point of, to be like, he this well-known actor decided to be DP on this fucking horror film, so we're just going to talk about it.
Right.
Which, hey, I mean, maybe he wanted to try something, but I've heard a lot of interesting things about it, and one of the most interesting that I think is making me want to see it more is a review that I read was like, I freaking love this movie, but I also understand that there are going to be people out there who will hate it. Like, they will, for whatever reason, they're not going to get what they're trying to do with this narrative. It's going to turn them off. They're going to be like, fuck this. I don't want to deal with it. And he said, I really hate that for them, but I love it. But I also understand that some people are not going to like it. So I'm excited to check out this movie because it's got me intrigued as hell. What else do we have here? Apparently, I don't know what it is. You may know this. There's apparently a hidden Ellen Ripley Easter egg in Romulus. Have you heard what that is, maybe?
I have not. I was just surprised not too long ago to see that there was a quote-unquote Stan Lee cameo in Deadpool Wolverine, so I'm a little behind on my Easter eggs.
I caught that one
Yeah.
first time because I was like, there's Stan.
Yeah, I kind of missed that. I've heard that they have the Easter egg in there. I'm just not sure exactly what it is. So
Okay, well, I won't go into it or anything because I don't know what it is.
let's not spoil the film.
No, we're not going to spoil anything. This is another thing that's recently released, or at least this week, I think, is when it came out, that I want to check out, is Terminator Zero. It's an anime series on Netflix.
Yeah, I've been seeing that. That was just finally released, huh?
Yeah, and another review that I read, and keep in mind, I'm not saying that reviews are the end all be all of things, but when I'm the people I'm reading from, we tend to align a lot.
Yeah.
So if I'm talking about that, I feel like this is gonna be on my wheelhouse, so I'm excited to check it out. But they were saying it's a very solid take on the material. Yeah. It feels fresh because they decided to do something completely different. So we're not following John and Sarah Connor. We're not following that whole narrative. We're doing something completely different within that same universe.
Right.
And they said that they said it was 8 episodes. They said the first 4, as good as they are, when you kind of finish on it, it feels like build up, because the final 4, it's just like bam, like that's where the shit just really kicks off. So I'm excited to check it out. I haven't got to watch any of it just yet, so looking forward.
That's on my list of things I have to watch. I just finally finished the series The Boys. I just finished that the other day, and that show's always just what the fuck every time I watch it. So,
oh yeah, did you like the Huey's trip down or his foray into BDSM
Jeez
or whatever?
Louise. I'm sitting there like, oh my god, like I knew something weird was coming, but then they get down there and yeah. I was just like, oh my god. Even the end when they're all getting like captured, I realized I can't think of his name, but the one guy that pretty much led the boys through most of this last season, he's in the airport bathroom like washing his hands and his face, and I just see what you for a second think is a tentacle coming across the mirror, and you realize what it is that he gets hit with, and I'm just thinking to myself, this guy never catches a fucking break in this show. He's always getting hit with some stupid shit or something really inappropriate. And I'm just like thinking to myself, what if V existed in the real world? Like what powers would people get? And would you even want to take it? Because I wouldn't want some shit like that to happen to me.
If I had no guarantees, hell no. Because that is a gamble.
Yeah. Just, I mean, I guess that guy's popular in some other aspects in certain parties and things like that, but
Yes.
no, I'm good unless I'm getting some like Homelander abilities or even Butcher before the tumor abilities. Yeah, I'm good. Oh man,
Don't need it. The Pooniverse is apparently kicked off in high gear. I don't know if you've noticed, but apparently we got a poster for Pinocchio Unstrung, Bambi the Reckoning, and even got a trailer for their Peter Pan Neverland thing. So it's coming, baby. Just get ready for it.
There's a new trailer for it's a teaser trailer for that Screamboat film that's coming out.
Yep.
From the
Screamboat.
From the producers of Terrifier and The Mean One.
Mm-hmm.
And I watched the trailer. They are going to do like practical effects and a little bit of CGI. I guess they are going to make it some kind of Steamboat Willie Mickey Mouse creature that's going to be killing people. Apparently, here's my thing. I'm gonna put this out here right now.
You don't have to defend it. It's fine.
Don't take it. Well, here's my thing. If they want it to be even likable, and because people are going to watch it anyways, just to be like, what the hell is this? Do the comedy aspect of it. Let this little creature think it's all just a fun game. Like just do it that way, please. Don't make it serious, because it's going to fail miserably if you make it too serious. I think I feel like some things are better if you're going to do them, add a comedic twist to them. Yeah, that's all I have to say on that one. I've seen the Pooniverse stuff, and I still haven't watched the second Blood and Honey, which apparently is halfway decent. So I'll give it a chance. I'll see how it is. I know Prime is getting like a lot of stuff right now. Lisa Frankenstein's on there. There's a few other horror films that have released on there. I know the Pooniverse films will probably end up on Prime at some point. So I'm kind of waiting. I have a random thing I need to tell you that I think is cool. There is a horror movie called Stream. I don't know if you've...
I have heard of it. I have not looked into it very...
They're bringing back somebody who, I don't know what capacity he's going to be in the film, but they convinced someone who has not really been on the big screen in a long time to come back, and I think it's kind of cool. Tim Curry is going to be in the movie.
Yes, I think that's where I'd heard about the movie.
Yeah, so it's an interesting concept. The film is about a family staying in a hotel. They're on vacation, and the hotel gets like locked up, and there's all these killers who are basically doing a challenge for who can get the most creative kill, and they're streaming it. I guess it's a really simple concept, but I think if it's done right, I think it could be something really spectacular. And from what I've heard, the early reviews of it are pretty good, so I'll probably give it a watch. I hope Tim Curry's not just like a nod in it and then he's done. Like I hope he's in it to at least some degree. I know he hasn't acted much since he had his stroke, several years ago. So seeing him come back in any capacity to film is a good thing, I think. So
sure. Well, since you were kind of glossed it, you kind of touched on it for a second. We did have a new trailer for Terrifier 3. Seeing Art and all his bloody, gory goodness. It looks to be a very interesting flick. So looking forward to that, I guess, whenever it comes out.
5 years after the events of Terrifier 2, I believe she said it was the 5-year anniversary. I'm still a little leery because I have not seen the little girl in the trailer, and that's really going to piss me off. Like you brought her into the second film. I felt that she was kind of iconic. Like she became like a big staple in the film, I thought, and I've not seen anything of her at all. I would think that when he's dressed as Santa sitting there and the kids are going to see him, maybe we'd have seen her sitting on his lap for a second or something, but I hope that they're just maybe keeping her hush-hush right now and that she's still going to be in the movie, because it would just be weird to me if she wasn't. I know the guy that plays Art, he said there was a scene that they filmed in the film that actually made him feel sick to his stomach.
I read that, yeah. It makes me curious what that is.
Yeah, so I'm really wondering. I mean, I didn't really think, and maybe I'm just desensitized to it, but even in the second movie, I didn't really feel like there was anything that made me want to vomit or anything. I mean, we talked about When Evil Lurks, and there were a few scenes in that just kind of make you go, ugh. And I just didn't get that with Terrifier. I think it was just because maybe I was expecting the extreme violence and, the extreme gore, and you don't know what to expect when you watch When Evil Lurks at first. So that could be what it was. But regardless, I think that they're going to bring this film trilogy to a head. I don't know if we're going to be completely done with Art the Clown. I know the creator, Damien, I don't know if it's Leone or Leone. I think it's Leone. I can never remember. I know he doesn't want to do so many films that the character kind of loses its luster, and I get that. Retire from it when you're on a high. Don't let it hit a low note. And really bold to do Christmas. Like I think that's an interesting take to do it on a, have the setting be during the Christmas season. So should be fun though. Should be fun.
Yeah. Sure. I don't know if you spotted this past week, but if I'm sure by the time this comes out, it'll be 2 weeks. But A Quiet Place Day 1 is on Paramount Plus now.
I did not know that.
I checked it out, and I have to say I am continually impressed how they continue to make quality entries. And I know this is only the third one, but even by the third one, you can be a little like you can feel it wavering in some way. Like you're just like, well, it wasn't as good for whatever reason. No, I feel like this is just as good as the first one and the second one. It's solid entry. So if they want to keep doing stories like this, where it's personal stories trying to overcome all this shit, I'm all for it, because it feels like that's what makes it work.
Yeah.
The creatures and everything, shit's secondary. How well can you tell a story about two people trying to survive this, or a family, or whatever it may be?
Well, and I've heard good things about Day One. The film that everybody seems to have a gripe with is the second one for whatever reason. I know there's a lot of things that people say that feel rushed or just don't make sense in the second one. And I mean, I guess I could understand that. I think it would be interesting if they decided to do, like, if they backed away from doing the movies for a minute. Would make a good series, I think, if they did it the right way. I think it could be a solid series. I wouldn't make it a full-fledged, let's see how many seasons we can run it for series, but maybe like a limited series. Just because, like you said, you can tell a lot of stories about a lot of people. And I feel like it would be interesting to see the different ways that people try to avoid these creatures. I think it would be interesting. Yeah. Maybe you have people that live near an area that's just loud in general, so the creatures don't go there. Or, because I know I know in the movies they're like near the waterfalls and things like that, so that it kind of masks their sound. Could be interesting. Maybe there's
Yeah.
I think it'd be interesting to see the way that people have to learn to be quiet. I can tell you right now, if creatures like that landed down right now, my family would be screwed. Nobody knows how to be quiet around here, so we would be done for.
There was a trailer that came out, or a teaser, I guess, more accurately. It came out a few days ago, and I wanted to ask you about this because, there's a bit of an age gap between us, and I'm always curious when certain things come about, because I'll even ask Katrina about them to see if she knows, because it's about the same thing. Do you remember Lyle and Eric Menendez? Do you remember that story?
Not right off the top of my head. The names ring a bell,
Okay.
but I don't remember. I don't quite off the top of my head. No.
So they're doing, I guess it's a biography movie. It could be a series or something. I'm not sure what the format is. I'm going to assume a movie at this point about Lyle and Eric Menendez and what they did. Whatever was in the water or in the air in this point in time in history, I swear to God, this shit seemed to be all on the news at the same time. So Lyle and Eric Menendez shot and killed their parents, like point blank range, in the face, like that, for fucking insurance money or some shit, I guess, is what they said. Then you also had the Bobbitt thing, John Wayne Bobbitt. I don't know if you remember him, who got his dick cut off from cheating on his spouse. And then I think the Tanya Harding, Nancy Kerrigan shit had just happened, where, she had just busted up somebody's knees. And I remember Dennis Miller had made some joke where he wove all these events in together and then just laughed it off and said, Christ, what a freak show this country is. And I was like, yeah, Jesus Christ, man. But yeah, I'm curious about this because, I know that they've been talking about these. I don't know if we've even touched on it all that much, where a lot of people have been kind of criticizing these documentary drama movies for glorifying the killers and things like that. And yeah, I don't want the killers to be glorified anyway. But these things, especially like this one fascinates me a lot, because there were a lot of things I found out after the fact, here only in the last few years, that their dad was actually a film producer. Like we've seen movies he's made.
Yeah.
And when I learned that shit, I was like, what? And so it just kind of blew my mind. So it just made me kind of want to know, like, what happened? What led to all this? My God. So I don't know. It might be worth a watch, might not. I'm going to keep my eyes on it because I don't know.
Yeah. That's the thing with documentaries, especially now. Even when they do like the dramatizations of them, and they're telling the true stories about people, I feel like in recent years they've been more honest with those things. They leave in every gritty detail, and I'm with you. I don't I don't think that they should glorify these people. Just present the story of what they did and leave it at that. It's just like I can't wrap my head around that. They pointed it out in the news. There's a guy named Wade Wilson, just like Deadpool in the comics, who murdered 2 women, and he got the death sentence. And this guy's all tattooed all over his face and everything else. But apparently there's all these people that are just infatuated with this guy. There's women who just think he's the sexiest man alive, and they all want him, and it's this whole big thing. And they keep talking about him on the news. Like I keep seeing all these news articles, and I know this was some time ago. I think that they just recently did the sentencing. Like he's sentenced to death. Like just a bad guy. But the news just keeps talking about this guy, and all these women are like, oh, he's so attractive. I would let him do this to me or do this to me. And I'm just thinking to myself, why are we putting these people up on a pedestal? Like that's a convicted killer.
Yeah, that's fucking weird.
Like I don't understand that. Like it's just like I can't think of her name. The girl that just got out of prison. She her and her boyfriend killed her mom. Her mom was a piece of work.
Oh,
you know what I'm talking about. Can't think of her name. They even did a movie about her.
It's such a, yeah, it's like she's got one of those really unique names, and every time I see her, I'm just like, why do I remember her? And I'm like, oh yeah, it's the girl, the thing, the day. Is it a flower? Is it the name of a flower or something?
Might be.
Lily, Daisy. No,
I know it's right
something.
there.
God damn.
I'm gonna look it up.
Go
Gypsy Rose.
Gypsy Rose. See, I got the Rose part. I knew it was in there.
Yeah, like
Gypsy Rose.
There's all these people. She talked about all these letters she got while she was in prison and this, that, and the other. And I don't understand it. Like it's the ultimate. I want a bad boy. I want a bad girl. You want a convicted killer. It's like, what is wrong with you people? Like I don't understand it. You'll have to look up that guy his name is, like, they even pointed out on the news, like Wade Wilson, like Deadpool in the comics, like his name is legitimately Wade Wilson. He's got slick back, dark hair. He's tattooed all over his face. He looks like if he didn't have the tattoos and wasn't a killer, he'd probably work at like a used car dealership selling used cars. Like that's just how he looks to me. I don't understand people. But that's why horror movies exist, because there's fucking nuts people out there, and why not?
Why not?
Oh my god. Sorry.
No, you're fine. No. I'm just trying to find good stuff. The Last Drive-In got renewed. I don't know if I should have mentioned that up top when I brought it up before. Got renewed for season 7, so maybe we can look forward to that. Yep. Hopefully everything will go good. I'm assuming this season was good enough for them to want to go ahead and do it again.
Joe Bob, you got 2 co-hosts right here that can come on. Can I sit next to Darcy, please?
Have at it.
Oh man. Went to Home Depot. Gotta tell you this real quick. Went to Home Depot. They have a pretty solid Chucky animatronic there, I will say. He's $200. Okay. He's pretty tall. I mean, obviously he has to be bigger than the doll for them to put all the gear and everything in him, but he's pretty cool. The voice is spot on. The face is a little off to me, but overall, I would probably buy him. Like if I had the extra money and I wanted to buy some Halloween decorations, I'd probably buy him because he was pretty cool. Okay. I know that's a very random little shout out, but the coolest thing they had there though wasn't their 12-foot skeletons. They have a dog skeleton now. It's this real big dog skeleton. It's really weird. They have a Frankenstein's monster, and they have actual plastic eyeballs in it instead of like the screens. But the eyeballs look around. He looks up and everything. Like creepy how like realistic it was. Definitely something someone should check out. Home Depot's been pretty solid the last few years with the Halloween stuff though. I know Lowe's has a Wednesday animatronic and she's dancing, but it sounds like she's dancing to like a Beach Boys song. So it's really fucking weird. And it looks like a cheap mannequin. Not to be mean to Lowe's, but it does. So,
well, facts are facts. I don't really have much else in the way of movie news, so I figure we'll just go ahead and move on to what we were going to do today, because I got a treat for old Lester. I think he's going to have some fun with this today. So, I don't know if any of our listeners listen to one of my other shows that I do, Super Mega Crush Beyond. I tossed a little quiz out to my co-host on that show where I want to preface this by saying this is not my idea. I didn't come up with this game idea or anything like that. I did borrow it from a show I listen to called The Weekly Planet, but it's such a great idea. I wanted to try and use it on my co-host. So I went to Letterboxed, found the lowest reviewed, worst possible reviews that I could find for specific movies, and I'm going to read them out to you, and you have to tell me what the movies are. Now, our selection today is the entire Nightmare on Elm Street franchise.
Oh, God.
From original to remake. I did omit Freddy vs. Jason just to kind of keep it consistent. So it's all about Freddy. All about Freddy. And so I tried to pick some of the best. I tried to find some that were a little creative or something like that to where maybe give you a clue, but maybe throw you off, kind of things like that. And then some I was just amused by, and I thought, all right, I'm just going to read that. So it may not help you out all that much, but sometimes that's where we were with this. So just a little note to any listeners out there, if you're listening and I just happen to read your specific quote, like you're like, hey, motherfucker, I wrote that. I just want to say, we acknowledge your opinion. If we disagree with what you said, like if what I read out, Lester's like, fuck you, dude, because you're insulting his movie. Okay? That doesn't mean that your opinion is invalid.
I just don't agree with it.
It just means that we just do not agree with it, okay? Because I disagree with every one of these opinions, but I understand where you're at. I understand where you're coming from. Just, we don't agree, okay? Also, there seem to be like a ton of expert editors on Letterboxd who seriously continue to rip the poor editing in this movie. Poor editing. Now, I want to say, as someone who's been editing for about 20 years now, I might not be a expert on the subject, but I kind of have a sense on when I feel like something is edited poorly. Like there's almost like a jarring effect when I see it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like my eyes will be like, whoa, nope. That was bad. I never once, or at least that I can ever remember, has there been a moment in these movies where I've been like, oh, that was a bad cut. It's terrible fucking editing.
Before we get started, I just want to say this too. You know another thing that drives me crazy about reviews? When people say, this didn't age well. What the fuck do you expect? Think about it like, oh, if I was watching this movie in the 80s, these effects would have been top notch. It's like, come the fuck on, people.
How about I fart in a jar and see how well that ages, okay?
Oh, this is going to be
So
interesting.
I'm just going to dig. I don't want to try to go in any specific order. And I'll try to give you a softball to start. And that way you at least kind of have a start with that. That was a good one. Sorry. Okay.
I just want to say for the record, it's been a little bit since I've watched my Nightmare films, so bear with me.
Okay. Well, I think this will be a good start to kind of get you started, and I think this is a good softball question. All right. Eric Rudolphi says for his lowest 1-star or half-star review, they're either a half-star or 1-star, just so you're aware. They were not very kind. He says, quote, the one where Freddy turns into Bugs Bunny.
That's Freddy's Dead.
Very good. Very good. See?
Oh.
See? Lester knows his stuff.
He's also the Wicked Witch in that movie. But it also gave us it also gave us one of our best lines ever. You forgot the power glove. Jesus.
Did I share a video with you with Freddy's Dead, the power glove thing?
I don't know if you did or not. You could win. What was it? Was it like an ad where you could win it or something?
No. Someone intercut that scene with a different movie. and it meshed so well, and I was like, holy shit, that's pretty good. Remind me after we get done. I'll share that video with you. If I can remember. Okay, let's see. Oh, okay.
Oh boy.
That's a good one. All right, so this one, should I right now? I want to, because this one could be a tricky one because you really have to think on it. But so I don't know if I want to throw that one out there to you just yet. Okay, all right. Here's a good one. A little challenging, but I think you could deduce it. All right, Lita says, quote, "Good effects and concept, terrible acting. Did you know that true love could stop Freddy Krueger? I didn't, and I laughed." She also misspelled Freddy. Irritates me.
Well, the only thing that comes to mind is when Jessie is possessed by Freddy in part 2, which is Freddy's Revenge, and she's kissing him and telling him that she loves him, and that's what inevitably stops Freddy. He melts away because he burns. I'm going to say that that's part 2.
You are correct.
Okay.
See, doing great, man. You know your Freddy stuff. See, you were worried.
I'm gonna have to do this to you with Friday the 13th. I think.
You might have to. I'm gonna try to keep track. You're 2 for 2 so far. All right.
Quick question. You played this game.
Okay.
You played this game on the other show with Lace. What films did you do?
Went through Bruce Campbell films.
Okay, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So I just found all, and not to shit on his filmography, but there were some bad movies in there. I can't.
They can't all be winners.
No. Anyway, let's see. Okay. This one could be tricky. Ava says, quote, "Nancy's grave is the only likable character in this film."
Shit. Nancy's grave.
It seems like a thinker.
I'm just trying to think because she doesn't die until part 3. Nancy's grave is the only likable. Because I don't remember them referencing her grave. Gotta think here.
Okay.
And they don't reference it in New Nightmare, I don't think, if I remember right. Thinking here. Read it one more time, if you would.
Nancy's grave is the only likable character in this film.
Let's see, we've got...
I will say, there is a movie, and I know the movie. I know the scene. There is a movie where you see her gravestone.
God, I'm trying to remember. Or is it... Because I'm trying to remember. It's been a while, so... Because I'm trying to remember if... God. Because it almost makes me wonder if it was in New Nightmare, because Heather Langenkamp plays herself and sees Nancy's grave. And I'm trying to remember if that happened, because it's been a minute. Because I really can't...
Go with your gut.
I can't remember them going to her grave in the other movies. I'm going to get this wrong, I know it. I'm going to say New Nightmare, but I don't think that's actually it.
That would be incorrect.
Okay.
It was part 4. There was a transition scene after one of the characters died where they went to the funeral, and when they cut to the funeral or to the grave site, it was on Nancy's gravestone, and then they panned
That's
over.
why I don't remember it very well. And that was going to be I was like, is it in part 4? But I guess I just don't remember that scene, so. Oh, man. Got one wrong.
Well, I mean, that's it. That's all right. You try. You got there. You had to think on it. It was a tricky.
But that would have been a great thing if they would have done that in New Nightmare. If Heather Langenkamp would have seen Nancy's tombstone. All right. Feeling a little defeated, but let's do this.
Now there is one or two of these that I'm going to read with one slight line omitted because it might give too much away.
Okay.
But at the same time, it doesn't hurt the quote, if you know what I mean. So this is from Samira Soto, says, quote, "Hot garbage. To watch this movie feels like finishing a guitar solo by farting into a microphone."
Jesus.
Now, really think about that one and then think, well, yeah.
Well, I hate the remake, so that's where my brain goes first. Man, that's really where my brain goes. And so are you doing, like, are any of these going to be the same movie, or are they all going to be different movies?
Yeah, we're going to be bouncing through like I said, everything from the original to the remake. Even if you've already said it, I could come back around to it again.
Because I know a lot of people thought that Freddy's Dead was hot garbage. I know a lot of people thought that Dream Child was garbage. If it were me, it would be the remake. Because I think the remake was hot garbage. Man. And see, that doesn't really point out.
Lean into it, man. Lean into it.
You know what? I am going to just lean into the remake because a lot of people thought the remake was hot garbage, including myself. Even though I did like, and this is going to be a hot take on this too, I didn't mind Jackie Earle Haley's performance. I just think he was given a shit script. I'm going to just say it was the remake.
And you would be correct. Good job. See? Trust yourself. Trust yourself.
Fucking remake, man.
Let's see. Here. Let's go with... Okay. Now, this one's another thinker.
Okay.
But I think it's a good one. Ghost Dinosaur says, quote, I like to imagine Chris Columbus, coked out of his mind, watching this on HBO one night in the late 80s, and then when the finale rolls around, he goes, this gives me an idea.
I'm trying to remember who that is.
Well, Chris Columbus, he is a writer, director. He wrote movies like Gremlins and Goonies. He directed Home Alone and Harry Potter.
So kid shit.
He's done a lot of stuff. To a degree. So think of the ending of one of these movies that could maybe possibly somewhat correlate to one of these titles that I may or may not have brought up.
It just makes me think of Freddy's Dead just because of how childish that film is. That's really the one that's like sticking in my brain. And I'm going to say it, but it's probably wrong. That's what I'm feeling though.
That would be correct. Okay. This was for the original Nightmare on Elm Street.
The original?
The original.
Really?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Well, I guess the mom going down into the bed and Freddy reaching out, that is sort of a, man, I really wouldn't connect the original to like Gremlins and stuff. But now that you've said that, I'm thinking of that.
I'm thinking the reference was Home Alone, where she gets yanked through the door,
the traps and everything.
Stuff. Yeah, I think that's what it
Nancy
is.
would have been the original Kevin McAllister. When I think of end of movie, I think of like very end of movie.
Yeah,
that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay.
The next one is from Sabrina. You hear that? So cute. It's even got a little cat face. Sabrina.
Oh, Lord.
She says, quote, I feel robbed of my time and my purity. The plot was so corny, it was like watching a shitty porno from the 1970s. I'm going to pretend that this franchise ended at the sequel.
Damn.
Oh, and I tell you what, I'll give you 3 lifeline, and what those will be are more obvious quotes that I got a kick out of.
I'm gonna put the list of movies in front of me. Okay, that way I can see what I'm looking at here. It's bad that it comes up automatically on my phone. Okay, let's see here. What the hell? I went to type in franchise and it came up Nightmare on Elm Street Frenchie, and so there were weird pictures of dogs popping up on. Okay, so
they look like Freddy.
One of them had a little hat and outfit on.
Dear God.
Looked like okay, so they felt like they were robbed. Should have ended at the sequel. I can't imagine anybody hating Dream Warriors. Like, to me, that just...
Be surprised, man.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Can you read it one more time? I'm sorry.
I feel robbed of my time and my purity. The plot was so corny, it was like watching a shitty porno from the 1970s. I'm going to pretend like this is the end of the franchise. Or the franchise ended at the sequel. Sabrina.
Sabrina is something else. Go ahead and give me one clue. I'll use one lifeline here. Just give me one extra little tidbit.
I feel like this is going to be the best one that would kind of give you a clue, because I think you could deduce it with a very specific reference. Riley Molina says, "Ayo, what the fuck is low budget Doctor Strange doing here?"
So it would be Dream Warriors then at that point in time. I had a feeling, I'm like, could you really hate Dream Warriors that much? But
I will say though, to its credit, it did have the least amount of negative reviews out of all the movies that I was going through. That one, I did not get that many bad reviews.
I can believe that. I can definitely believe that. You're always going to have the people that find everything to complain about.
Yeah, always. Let's see. And I did have some footnotes for some of these movies because there were some things that you just started seeing. And I was like, what? Like a common thread that I just don't understand why people were hanging on to. Let's see. Dun, dun, dun. Did we do that one already? Maybe? Yes. Maybe. I don't remember. It doesn't matter. Who cares? Okay. This one might be a thinker. But I think you could deduce it. This is from Dennis Quaalude. Says, quote, "This film is just a girl using her psychic dream abilities to murder all her sexual competitors. At the beginning of the film, she's pining for a football jock from afar, and at the end, when everyone's dead, she has him. Good for her."
That would have been Dream Master because
Very good.
Uses all. That has one of the best lines too. When Freddy says, "I have their souls, you have their power. Come on." It's like, come on. These people.
I'm
going to have to hunt some people down, apparently. Like, what the hell? Like, this is brutal. Come on, people. All right.
I've got this damn gnat one. Goddamn. Go away. Shit. All right. Here's a trickier one, okay? 1 star. Oh, this is from Dastern. Okay. He says, quote, 1 star only because John Saxon appears. Now, that narrows down the field a little, but...
1 star only because John Saxon appears.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, obviously he's in the first movie, but I feel like they would say... I feel like it wouldn't just be because he appears. He's also in 3. Let me think here. Because he dies in 3 as well. Because they're trying to bury Freddy and everything. And Freddy's skeleton comes to life. And then we don't see Saxon again until New Nightmare. And he appears in that briefly. So he's sort of in the other movies a little bit more. I just can't understand how people would hate these movies. I don't think it's the first one. So I'm gonna take that one off the table. I don't think it's the first one. Okay. If you hate part 3, you're a monster. If you hate New Nightmare, you're a monster. I feel like he's more substantial in part 3 than he is in New Nightmare. I'm gonna say New Nightmare just because I feel like it's more of just an appearance of him in it.
You would be correct. Okay. You did good.
How could you hate that movie? I don't understand.
Tell me, man.
Oh, Jesus. It is a slow burn. I will say that. So
it is. Let's see. Okay, this is a good one. Because another thinker, but when you remember it, you're like, oh yeah, shit. That okay. And because it took me a second to. This is from AKC Company. Says, quote, "The best character in this movie is the guy in the blue shirt who tried to reason with Freddy. Like, what's his story?"
Oh, that would be Freddy's revenge at the pool party. The kid's trying to reason with him, and he's like, "Let me help you," and Freddy's like, "Help yourself, fucker." Yeah, that's a good.
Let me help you.
There's the spinoff that we didn't know we needed. Blue shirt on Elm Street. Jesus. Kudos to that guy for like. Even though the review was negative, like, kudos to him for, like, pointing out something very obscure like that. Like, that's cool.
Yeah. Some of these are just so cold-hearted.
I know. I'm waiting for you to just read one that I'm just like jaw to the floor. Like, what?
I'm sure I'll get there. Okay. Now there's a clue in here, so you should be able to get it. This is from ASM. Says, quote, Abortion would have solved everything. By that, I mean they abort the screenwriters.
Wow. I'm going to say that's Dream Child.
Correct.
That makes sense. And
I mean, they're not wrong.
And
I'm just
and in the movie's defense, just to say this, they had a very different film in mind, but it kept getting censored and they kept cutting things out. It would have been a much different film. Just saying.
True.
Man.
Anna Herrera says, and when I read some of these, if something sounds a little off, I'm reading it as they wrote it. Just so you're aware. This is not me bumbling my shit around. She says, quote, John Depot in a crop top saved my life.
Trying to remember people. That's the problem, is remembering names. The only person that wore a crop top in the movies, in the first movie, was Johnny Depp. He was the only one that wore a crop top. So I would think by default this would be part 2 because everybody wore crop tops in part 2. So I think I would have to give it to part 2.
That is incorrect. I think John Depot meant to be Johnny Depp. But she called him John
said
Depot.
So it would have been part 1 then, yeah.
Yeah. People were obsessed with Johnny Depp and the crop top and shit.
Apparently that's something everybody wants to come back. I've been seeing comments everywhere, and they've been showing guys from 80s horror films in crop tops. I'm like, why did this stop? And I was like, because all those guys have beer bellies now. So that is why that stopped. Okay, so I just should have realized that she, put Depot instead of Depp. So that's on me.
Yeah.
I'm like, who the hell is Johnny Depot?
John Depot.
Sounds like a fucking porn name.
Yeah. Oh, well, while we're writing on that, Table 9 says, quote, all these legacy characters and no Johnny Depp?
The only movie that has legacy characters is New Nightmare. So I'm going to give it to New Nightmare.
That would be correct.
And fun fact, Johnny Depp wasn't in that, but for some reason Johnny Depp came back and guest starred on Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare.
Well, I've heard the story as to why he wasn't in New Nightmare. It's because Wes didn't ask him. That's all it came down to.
Yeah.
Wes did not ask him. He said, if you'd have asked, I would have done it.
That would have been great.
I know.
Him and Heather Langenkamp could have had a scene. Like, come on.
I could have. It's what could have been.
You do know how he got the job, right?
I feel like I've heard, but refresh my memory.
He had no interest in acting at the time. He wanted to be in a band. And he went, and Wes Craven thought he did okay trying out for it. But Wes Craven's daughter saw his headshots and said, oh my God, Dad, this guy is so hot. You need to put him in this movie. And Wes Craven thought, well, if my daughter thinks this guy's attractive and should be in the movie, that means other girls will probably think it as well. So Johnny got the job from his looks. So,
Smack.
And he got turned into a human smoothie. But, we won't talk about that as much.
Hey, the sacrifices you make.
Right?
Tibby says, quote, could have gone my entire life without knowing that Freddy Krueger fucks.
I'm pretty sure that's got to be Freddy's Dead as well, because that's when you find out he has a daughter.
Very good.
Oh my God, that's great.
Who knew? I mean, didn't think about it.
I think it'd be worse if, they kept the scene in Texas Chainsaw Massacre where Leatherface has a daughter. Jason and Jason's son. Oh. Oh my goodness.
Okay. Help It Grow says, quote, there's nothing I hate more in any movie franchise than when they recast a character with an actor that very clearly isn't them and can't act for shit. And I feel like there's only one instance where somebody has been recast that I can recall. I could be wrong.
That would have been... Okay, let me think here. So in Dream Warriors, we have the girl who survives at the end. I'm like Kristen, yeah. She is a different character in part 4. So it would be part 4.
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct. You did good, sir. You deduced it. See? I mean, you're doing really good. Your score is
gotten two
high.
wrong, I think. 3?
3. But I mean, 3 out of that was 11. So,
And one was a stupid
right.
reason. It was a technicality on my part that I should have realized Depp instead of Depot. Depot. It's Johnny Depot. Johnny Depp's cousin that's been twice removed.
Okay. This one's a stretchier one.
Okay.
So this guy had a lot to say. Griffin Flake said, "Guys, I have an idea based on experiences with this shit fest. Nightmare on Elm Street 8, Film of Dreams. So Freddy Krueger is trying to find a new way to kill some unlucky teens. Then an idea hits him. Why don't I make a movie so fucking boring, them bitches gonna fall asleep and I'ma kill them? He then goes to film school, goes against the basic ways to craft a film, lands a job as a director, and pursues his passion while struggling with daily life. Plank from Ed, Edd, and Eddy had more personality than the characters in this fucking movie."
Holy shit. I feel like he's talking about, like, making the reference, talking about, I have an idea, talking about all the Freddy stuff and the film. Sounds more in depth with, like, slow burn and boring. Whenever I think of a Nightmare on Elm Street that's kind of a slow burn, I always think of New Nightmare. That's the one that always comes to mind. The shittiest movie out of all the movies is, however, Freddy's Dead.
I mean, there's a pretty big clue in there that tells you which one he's talking about.
To me, it sounds like daily life and everything. To me, that sounds like New Nightmare a lot, because it almost sounds like he's making reference to, we're just following these people, and then Freddy just happens to show up. Probably wrong, but I feel like it. I feel like it would be New Nightmare. I feel like it would be in that category.
That would be incorrect. This is the remake. And
the remake.
The clue is Nightmare on Elm Street 8.
Shit. That is what it is, because there's only 7 of them. Damn. The remake's
That's
so
fine.
bad.
It's
The
okay.
remake's so bad. I forget it.
Really
I forget it exists. That's my excuse.
Perfitty Slime says, quote, "The only reason I rate this half a star is because they finally added a sound into the intro. So thanks, I guess, but no thanks for wasting an hour and 30 minutes of my life on this shit-ass movie that should have ended at the original, you money-craving lunatics." I don't know what they were talking about with the sound in the intro, though.
Okay.
Like, that they did sounds in general, or like what? Because I'm pretty sure the first movie had sounds of him banging, smacking.
Yeah, it had all kinds of...
doing the thing. So I don't know what they're talking about.
Okay.
Whatever.
I think here.
And don't forget, you got clues you can ask for.
Hour and 30 minutes. Added sound beginning. Because I know they did the first movie. They showed him making everything, and then I know they kind of got into doing like quotes, and it would be quiet in the film. And I feel like in the third movie they had added, because there was the Dream Warriors song and everything. Yeah. Go ahead and give me a clue. Just give me one clue.
Which would be a good one for you? All right, I'll try. I feel like this is pretty obvious. Brandon Skidmore says, quote, "A movie that argues the entire franchise could have been avoided if Freddy had been aborted by a Catholic nun."
We talking old nun or the younger nun? Because she appears twice. They have to find her. They have to find her body in the one movie. They have to set her free so that she can take Freddy back. That's in Dream Child. But I don't think that's... In the third film, the doctor who's helping all the kids, he meets Freddy's mother. And she talks about him being an abomination and everything. And I feel like Dream Warriors is when they played the music in the beginning, so that would be like the sound in the beginning. I'm leaning more that direction. I'm leaning more Dream Warriors. That's where I'm leaning.
That would be incorrect.
Was it Dream Child?
Dream Child.
It is Dream Child? Okay. So just getting my... Yeah, because in Dream Child, that's when she takes him back into her stomach, and like that whole scene is just trippy. They shut him behind all the doors. Okay.
Let's see. Stranger Coochie says, quote, "I will say there are aspects that I do like about this movie, but a lot is just stupid, such as Freddy the child molester doesn't like other child molesters, he doesn't like competition, and yes, he was originally supposed to be one, but got changed, and the pool scene is pretty decent, but then Freddy got out of the chest scene as only good ones. Why does he look like a shriveled up nutsack?
That's part 2.
That'd be correct.
That's part 2.
He doesn't like competition. What the fuck? I get what he's saying, but come on, dude. All right.
I thought part
Let's
2,
see.
and I'm just going to say this, I thought part 2's makeup was one of the best makeups. I actually really like the look of that Freddy. There's just something about him that looks cool. And the blades, when he's in the real world, the blades being out of the fingers, come on.
Shit. Matthew L. Brady says, quote, remember when Freddy was scary and we all got scared to go to sleep? But don't worry now, because Freddy in this movie likes to play video games and shout funny, stupid jokes and acting like a jackass.
That would be Freddy's dead because of the video game reference.
Very good.
Oh, poor
All right,
Freddy.
Let's see if I can stump you again. Okay. Kev Likes Movies says, quote, I'm starting to think Drew Barrymore was right about the Elm Street sequels.
Oh, boy. She made a reference in Scream to Elm Street. I can't remember her reference.
I can give you a clue. Any others? If you
Oh, now I
want.
just want to know what her reference was because I can't remember it. I'm starting to think Drew Barrymore right about the Elm Street franchise. Hate to use my last clue, but I kind of want to give me something real subtle, like not real.
Subtle?
Yeah, not like real revealing, but just something so that.
I think this would do it because yeah. Okay, John says, okay, this one's the worst. I mean, wearing jeans to a
There's
funeral.
only been a few funerals in the series. Crap.
It might have been too subtle. How about art student says, quote, too much Jesus for my liking.
Too much Jesus for my liking. They show Nancy's funeral in Dream Warriors, and he talks to that nun a lot, her doctor boyfriend, and I'm pretty sure he wears jeans to a funeral, or someone does. I'll die on the hill if it's not right. I'll say Dream Warriors.
That is incorrect. It was Dream Master.
Dream Master. Fucking shit. Which is,
All
yeah,
right,
that's
let's see.
now that I'm thinking about it. I don't know what it is about Dream Master. It's one of my favorites, but that's one movie that I just do not. When it comes to stuff to remember about them, there's a lot about Dream Master that I just do not remember.
Really? That's the one I remember the
Yeah,
most.
it's so weird to me. Like,
insane.
I remember at the end, because I love the effects when Freddy's getting torn open and everything, but yeah, there's just a lot about it. You've got a look on your face like you just read something really
Sorry,
funny.
I just read one of these fucking quotes. It's fucking wrong, but I couldn't help it. Anyway, continue.
Oh, no. Now I want to know what you were reading, because that look you have, I just like, what is it?
Terrible. It's terrible.
Oh, come on.
It's so fucking terrible. Okay, but I wrote it down. I didn't write this. Okay, I'm just laughing at it. I'm going to hell for laughing at
I'm
it.
going to be laughing too, so.
Rolio says of this movie, quote, I would beat the fuck out of my child if he was doing this shit.
Jesus. I would beat the fuck out of my child if he was doing this shit. Oh, my God. Drawing a blank here. Hang on.
Think of one that focused on a
Well,
kid.
Dream Child focuses on, like, her kid. She meets her kid a lot. Oh, wait. It's that little fucking monster. It's New Nightmare. That little fucking monster. Nancy's son's a fucking terror. That'd be who it, yeah. Which is the same little boy that played the evil little boy in Pet Sematary. Which a lot of people, like, forget that. Like, he's just good at playing a little asshole kid, apparently.
It is. Let's see. Do a few more before we move past it. Okay, this one. All right, yeah, I'm gonna do this one as the last one because this one's a lot.
Okay.
A lot. Sophia, and I even put in quotes because after I read it, I wasn't sure about this reviewer. But Sophia says, never in my 26 years at this company have I ever been so disturbed. It is my honor and duty to make sure this business, scratch that industry, is run with accuracy and precision. There is only room for one Wes in this town, and I can tell you right now, it ain't Craven. Sorry to you all 1980s fans who like being scared of knives for fingers, but ever heard of Edward Scissorhands? Yeah, it's a thing. Google it. Best movie about weapon hands, hands down. First of all, why did Johnny Depp get such a rot hole when I'm trying to watch some horror here? Second of all, why did I laugh so hard when she screamed in class? Also not a spoiler because this movie's been out for at least 20 damn years. Third of all, why did I choose to eat pasta during this? Fourth of all, why is it not only this only is the version of the movie that's out there? Fifth of all, why didn't they just use ASMR? Anyways, I'm done with Letterboxd, so everyone unfollow me. This is my last post. I've decided to focus on other things besides logging movies. I have a lot on my plate. I don't like being fucking famous on an app where I can't receive money. And sixth of all, have you guys seen The Bubble? Because I have heard it's bad, and Judd has been pissing me off more than often than not. Let me know in the comments. I need the scoop on what is going on collectively. Y'all rate it. I'm not using Letterboxd anymore. So you guys do what you want to do and collectively rate it. Like this review, it's good. For my ego, I want to make it the top watched on HBO Max.
Wow.
Now, do you remember where we started?
Well, she talked about Johnny Depp in the beginning of the review.
I guess.
Getting a shithole, sinkhole, something like that.
A hot roll. I'm sorry. I may have jumbled the word.
No, you're fine.
Roll.
That was a lot to take in.
Yeah, it was. It veered off into
talking about her
insanity.
Her screaming in class. It's making me think of the first film because obviously Johnny Depp's in that role, and everybody thinks he's such a heartthrob in that role. And Nancy burns herself to escape Freddy, and she screams like a fucking banshee in class and throws everybody off. The rest of that review just sounded like a lot of bitching.
About things that had fuck all to do with whatever's going on here.
I'm going to say, I feel like it is the original with the reference to Johnny Depp and everything. I feel like she would be talking about the original, whatever that jumbled mess was.
You would also be correct.
All right.
So you did fantastic, man. We did 20 questions, and you got 75% correct. So
I can live with that. Gee.
Now, before we go, though, I do want to read some of my favorites that we didn't get around to that may have been a little bit more obvious. So I was just like, I'd save them because they were good, and I thought, I'm gonna.
I know you opted out of Freddy vs. Jason, but did you see any funny reviews for Freddy vs. Jason? Thought I'd ask real quick.
No, I didn't look. Okay. I should have.
Just out of curiosity.
I should have just to do it. So that's on me. I fucked up.
No, you're good.
Let's see here.
I would beat my fucking kid if they did stuff like that. I'm sorry, that's still funny.
Here, all right. So these are for part 2. Somebody said, Nat89 said, quote, "Animals just don't explode into flames for no reason." Got really upset about that. And you know what? And I had to write this one down because so many people made this reference, and I thought, yeah, I can see it. Jordan Party said, quote, "Meryl Streep really can play anyone." And they're referring to the actress, I can't remember her name, Kim, I can't remember her last name. Myers. Yeah. Myers, there it is. Kim Myers, who's Jesse's, what's her name?
I think her name's Kim in the movie, too.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
So, the girl who's in love, quote unquote, in love with Jesse. She does. She looks a lot like Meryl Streep. It's uncanny. Let's see. Owen S. said, "Holy God, this movie is anus sauce." Drew says, quote, "Ask Corey about the tomato." Do you get that?
Jesus.
Let's see. And Chase says, quote, "Definition of dog water. I need a girl that loves me this much." Let's see. So for part 4, there were a lot of people asking why they changed the actress a lot. That was like a common thread.
Lisa Weber is her name in the movie. Sorry.
Lisa, that's right. Damn it.
Go ahead.
Let's see here. Maria says for part 4, he can suck me dry anytime.
Oh, Jesus.
Ben Hansey says, I take shits that are better looking and more artistic than this.
Okay.
Christopher Connell said, the most interesting part of this movie is when I spilt my popcorn. Lil Casey says 1 star for the dog that pisses a goddamn blowtorch.
Thank you. I've been waiting to hear somebody talk about that.
Mm-hmm. And Darren also says about that, wish the dog pissed on this movie instead of Freddy's bones. Would have been a better movie. For part 5, there were a lot of people also shitting on Whit Hertford's acting. The guy, he played the child, or Alice's kid. And I just kind of want to point out, Whit Hertford was a fucking working actor at this point. Like, he had been in some shit and it was still actively working very much after this film. So I don't feel like he was a bad actor. I feel like he was doing pretty good.
I thought he did just fine. I didn't feel like he was fake or anything in it.
No, he's probably one of the more stable acting or child actors into adult actors I've seen, unless he's been through some shit and he just kept it buried. Yeah. But let's see. I don't know how the fuck. See Monster Neil. There we go. I read it. It didn't look like that until I broke it down. So See Monster Neil says, quote, Alice is way cooler than Nance. Oh, never mind. Low Fidelity says, quote, the one where Freddy becomes Bart Simpson. Big budget for special effects and dream worlds. It teases an Aha Take Me On animated der sequel, but it never happens. That's how they wrote it. Does sequence.
Jesus.
Brendan Francis says, quote, I don't want to be dramatic, but I cringed so hard watching this that my butthole became a necklace.
Jesus.
Ortho Slice says, this is why focus groups were invented. Warner Movies says, quote, praying to God I'd never have to watch this movie again. And to that I say, was someone holding you at gunpoint to watch this movie?
Jesus.
For part 6, Jessica says, quote, Freddy outdid the Wizard of Oz in 5 seconds. Tao A says, quote, I didn't think it was possible for one of these movies to be worse than Dream Child, but life's full of surprises, I suppose.
Oh, my goodness.
Hydra says, piss off, boing, 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 fuck off. Islone49 says, quote, the credits montage was better than the movie. Young Sam 830 says, wouldn't it make sense for Freddy to go out to go after stoners? And then Slashing Movie says, quote, this would have been Hitler's favorite film had he ever watched it.
Oh my
God. New Nightmare. Some people just didn't know what to say. Ryan says, quote, this movie makes me question if Wes Craven ever actually had a good idea. Zach Mamert says, it insists upon itself. And if you remember that's a reference to a Family Guy quote where Peter was talking about The Godfather. Mm-hmm. It insists upon itself. I don't find it as good as all of you seem to find. I did not care for it. Did not like it. Did not like it. Mr. Pink says, lame. Hard lame. Too bad Freddy didn't come and kill me when this fucking nothing burger put me to sleep. So boring. He kills 2 people. That's it. 2. Hish says, I read about a Chinese man losing his penis, and that was better than this film. He even linked to that review of the man losing his penis. And Matthew Brady says, quote, it blows whales' ass.
Oh my God. And there were more than 2 deaths in this film. You just don't see all of the death.
Gotcha,
Just saying. And
finally, we're going to go out with the vicious remake shit. Some of the best ones here. Tintin Quarantino says, I'd rather dip my balls in a jar of honey and teabag a beehive than watch this shit again. Bree says, quote, I can't be sure, but I feel like this film's very existence contributed to Wes Craven's untimely death.
Damn.
Daniel Bonaparte Jr. says, quote, gross, ugly, toxic, bitter, vile, disgusting, exploitative. They took a fun little slasher about a pizza-faced man with claws and made it into a disgusting, hellish, rotted abomination of itself. Aaliyah says, if this movie is your favorite, you're a liar. Ebony Hill says, no Johnny Depp in a crop top, which, that's to be fair. Catamarama says, he didn't say bitch. Copy of a copy of a copy says, if I stepped in a pile of shit like this, I'd throw my shoe away. Gigi asked, why Freddy look like that? Mike Finnery said, world's worst episode of SVU. Kubrink Stare says, I can't believe they made Freddy straight. And Felicia Sussy says, Epstein's flight log revealed that Freddy Krueger visited the island a few times. I believe, or some believe, he's the real reason Epstein died in prison. And finally, Skrillex Fan 420 says, if you could imagine gently scraping your genitalia along shards of glass from smashed up vinegar bottles, then you would be feeling more in that single moment than I did for the entirety of this movie.
It's really fucking graphic.
Mm-hmm. People love it.
Oh, my God.
People love it.
That's, yeah.
Rough, isn't it?
I try not to be that guy, but if there's one thing that made me lose respect for Michael Bay, it was that he let this shit slide. This movie was bad. Just... They overcomplicated things that they didn't need to overcomplicate. They had a great idea with the micro naps, and they just completely ruined it. Your main actress didn't even want to be there. So
yeah, a lot of people commented on that shit too, which I noticed, and I was like, yeah. It says a lot.
It's just wow.
So. Ramblers, did you like this game? Do you want us to do more like this? I'm sure we can pull out some other little Letterboxed review things like that. Suggest some things, because you got to keep it kind of condensed, and that's why I kind of cut out Freddy vs. Jason, because 7 movies, that's a lot. That's a lot to choose from.
I'll get Steven back with Friday the 13th.
There we go. So let us know if you like this. If you've got any suggestions like that, let us know on social media at Horror Ramblings. Send us an email at horrorramblings@gmail.com. Join us on Facebook or Discord. You can find us on Instagram and TikTok. If you want to help us out, support us over on Patreon. You can leave us a 5-star review in your favorite podcasting app. Tell your friends to find us on their favorite platform as well. Spotify, see if we put up any questions and polls. And finally, you want a central hub for any and all things, pencilpaperproductions.com/horror-ramblings. Links are in the show notes down below.
And remember, guys, stay spooky out there.
This has been the Horror Ramblings podcast. Join us next time for even more.
This has been a Pencil and Paper Podcast Network production.